amongst the Dragon Eaters right now that have the most questionable Dragon Slaying attribute, I think Haku was definitely at the very top, just based off of what he's done so far, and us, I feel like, not really having any good set of information to link at what his Dragon Slaying attribute actually is, and we're probably not going to get it for a while until it's outright said, because we know that none of the Dark Dragon Slayers have their attribute actually as their title. Like Suzaku is the Sword Saint Dragon Slayer in here, and at least as of right now seems to be an Atmosphere Dragon Slayer. It might be something different, but obviously it's not a yellow dragon. So with Haku, there's a couple really odd aspects about his ability and what he's shown so far that I think combining that with his character design makes a lot of sense. And I'll just kind of make this video pretty short. I'm only going to go on for a handful of minutes because this is just a short kind of theory that I had just looking over like what at least we've been shown and what it at least so far might entail for Haku's type. So the first thing we really have is, I wouldn't say the whole white tiger thing, is more of the fact that out of the different colors of the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights, he's the only one that has an additional thing. He's the white tiger. And his design also has him in the, like, the whole kind of cat hoodie and stuff. And he's got the shoes. And he's the only one also on top of that who's shown some kind of, like, personality aspect to his trait. Like, he obviously does the whole part where he was, like, roaring like a tiger and moves like a cat as well. So I think the cat aspect for him is coming into play with that tie, and like there's always been like a cat tie to Wendy as well, and I think that's part of what Mishima is like having them also like have a fight right now, just kind of like similarities in between some of their characters. But the cat aspect, and then on top of that, we have in the news chapter, and I mentioned in my review, is in the chapter itself, when he says speed of light, there are quotations around when he's referring to light, which means I don't think he's actually referring to light. I think he's specifically referring to whatever his dragon's like attribute is. That just makes sense to me of why you would put quotations on there. Like, why would he have some like weird way about how he was saying it if he's not alluding to an aspect of his type? Because when he's doing it as well, he just went and grabbed Irene's consciousness outside of Wendy's body and converted it into a plushie. Now that was already really crazy, but that I think gave me like a good piece to actually connect an idea that I had a while ago, but I just didn't have anything to go off of, is what if he is some form of imagination dragon? And like the general idea about it, think of it kind of like Rusty Rose, but a dragon doing that type of thing. Because I think it would make sense for like the age. Obviously we know from Gray that when he was younger, he had a more kind of like wild set imagination versus now. And I think that would make sense for his magic. And on top of that, it would explain like coming like the personality shift and then suddenly like using different abilities. Like, just in terms of this scenario, how it could connect to his power. Because we saw with Rusty Rose, when Rusty Rose would have like sudden different emotions, it would inspire him to do different things. And that would make sense if he's like applying his ability to somebody and turning them into another thing. Because he's not like doing it as an illusion, it's a status effect. So he's applying this effect to you that turns you into a plushie. And I think it would make sense with his Dragon Slaying type if it is something that's to do with like imaginations. I thought dreams as well, because the cat aspect, I think, cats and how much they sleep and stuff. But as well as like cats are playful, and I think playful and imagination, I think just you can do like a character like Haku, like you pretty much would describe Haku right now for his build if he is something like that of a Dragon Slayer. And I think it would be really cool, and Mishima's already shown he can do a character like that and be balanced. But I mean, like Haku's an area where it's like he's at a high threshold, so like he doesn't have to be that balanced. He can still go kind of crazy with him, so who knows. But I think that would just kind of tie in the fact of turning Irene into a plushie into play, because when I talk about things like imagination and like dreams, it has to do with like your consciousness, and obviously a dragon in connection to that, a dragon of consciousness would have something in effect to your abilities in like how you fight, and obviously like the dragon attribute would then kind of play into the effects you have. So Haku being able to grab a persona, something of a consciousness, because this wasn't Irene enchanting like her being, like her soul really into Wendy in reality. Like, he's just a spirit, but Irene in like she's an enchantment of Irene's personality. That's why he's saying like personas. This isn't even like technically Irene. It is an exact copy of Irene's personality and like brain and pretty much everything about her coded into Wendy. Think of that if literally you had some like one-for-one a mechanical copy, like you had somebody's entire being in data, kind of like the Aetherius, but obviously like instead of a book, she's just like enchanting her, like that aspect of her into another person. But with that, you can kind of look at the fact he was able to affect a persona, something of a mental state kind of like aspect and power, that it would tie in obviously to something like if it was like imagination and dreams. Again, it's a wild theory because like we don't have much to go off of with him, and his is very weird in comparison even to any other Dragon Slayer. But I think it's at least enough to make a theory around, and it's not like it's a magic that Mishima hasn't done before. So we could see it just in a higher degree with Haku. Could be something completely else, but obviously we're gonna have to wait a couple chapters to actually get a full read on like what he can do and what exactly he's going to bring to the table for everything right now. So I definitely look forward to the next chapters and seeing how he's going to finally like actually get a hopeful reveal on his attribute at some point. But for now, I'm fine with just kind of making theories around it. Like it's like with Kieran, it's like, oh, well, I can work into atmosphere or something kind of like, you know, more kind of drawn to that, or branch out into something else. Whereas with Haku, he's like pointing at people and things and turning them into plushies, and it's like, well, that's nothing to work on whatsoever. But I think now we have at least enough ground to form a credible theory that I think, again, when you think about how OP that is, it aligns with how OP the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights are supposed to be. So anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, with a friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But other than that, appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.